Imagine a life where no one can disrespect you, no emotion can control you, and no one can drain your energy. A life where your presence commands respect, not through dominance, but through unshakable self-respect. Too many of us live small, silent and compromised, letting others define our worth, dictate our actions and steal our peace. But what if you could take it all back? What if you could stand firm, speak only when necessary, walk away without regret, and live life on your terms? In the next few minutes, I will show you the 6 behaviors that silently destroy your life, and how the Stoic mindset will transform you into the strongest version of yourself, unbreakable, unstoppable, and unapologetically in control. Listen carefully. Your life changes the moment you decide what you will no longer tolerate, not tomorrow, not when you feel ready, not when circumstances become easier. Your transformation begins the moment you draw a line that separates who you used to be from who you are becoming. Every person who ever rebuilt themselves, every human who rose from nothing into strength, discipline, clarity, and self-respect, all of them began with a simple but profound realization: my life won't change until I stop accepting the things that are quietly destroying me. This is the beginning of your rebirth. And today you will confront the first of the 6 unacceptable behaviors, the behaviors that silently weaken you, drain you, and sabotage your potential. This chapter is not meant to comfort you. It is meant to wake you up, to shake you out of passive living, to force you to face the truth that you have avoided for too long. So sit with this. Let it pierce through your excuses. Let it echo in the part of you that knows you deserve more from yourself. This chapter is your first test. 1. The quiet poison, tolerating disrespect. There is no faster way to destroy your life than to allow disrespect to become normal. Human beings don't crumble all at once. They erode quietly, secretly, silently. Every time you laugh off an insult, every time you let someone belittle your time, every time you accept being treated as an afterthought, every time you turn away when someone crosses a boundary, you aren't avoiding conflict, you're avoiding yourself. Disrespect tolerated becomes disrespect multiplied, and disrespect multiplied becomes identity. You start shrinking, you start doubting your worth, you start believing that this is all you deserve, and the worst part, it changes you. A person who tolerates disrespect eventually becomes someone who disrespects themselves in the choices they make, the people they allow in, and the standards they accept. A Stoic does not explode in anger. A Stoic does not scream to prove their worth. A Stoic simply refuses to participate in anything that lowers their dignity. You don't need to retaliate. You don't need to prove yourself. You simply need to draw the line and walk away, calmly, decisively, silently. Silence, that calm refusal, is more powerful than any argument. Because in that moment you declare, my energy is not a playground for disrespect. My time is not a donation. My presence is not cheap. The world will treat you exactly as you teach it to. The first unacceptable behavior, the one you must never tolerate, is disrespect from others or from yourself. 2. The slow death, making excuses instead of choices. Excuses feel harmless, they feel small, they feel reasonable. But excuses are not innocent, they are corrosive. Every excuse is a tiny negotiation with weakness, a small surrender, a quiet retreat from who you could become. People think failure is the opposite of success. It's not. The true opposite. Success is an excuse. Excuses steal potential because they give you a story that protects your comfort instead of exposing your truth. You say, I'm tired. I don't have time. I'm not ready. I'll start tomorrow. But underneath every excuse is a deeper message. Your mind is whispering, I'm afraid. Afraid of discomfort. Afraid of discipline. afraid of confronting what you've avoided, afraid of discovering how much more you could be. Excuses are emotional anesthesia. They numb your responsibility while killing your future. A Stoic refuses excuses not because he is superhuman, but because he understands a fundamental truth. Life does not reward intentions, it rewards actions. The gap between where you are and where you want to be is not made of talent, luck, or external circumstances. That gap is built entirely from the excuses you keep believing. To live a life of strength and integrity, you must eliminate the second unacceptable behavior, the habit of lying to yourself through excuses. You don't need motivation, you don't need inspiration, you need self-honesty. You need to look yourself in the mirror and say, I am done choosing short-term comfort over long-term respect. That is where your power begins. 3. The invisible chains, staying where you are not valued. Every moment you remain where you are not valued, you pay with pieces of your soul, pieces you will never get back.
One of the most damaging behaviors a person can tolerate is staying in spaces where they must earn basic recognition,
where they must over-explain their worth, where they must shrink to fit, where they must dim themselves to be tolerated, where they must beg for what should be natural.
respect, attention, reciprocity.
You were not born to audition for acceptance. Stoicism teaches a simple truth. Do not waste your life where your presence is treated as optional. There is no virtue in remaining loyal to places that drain you. There is no strength in staying where your voice is ignored. There is no honor in allowing people to benefit from your silence, your patience, and your effort while giving you nothing in return. Some people don't need to be confronted. Some places don't need to be fixed. Some environments don't need to be understood. They simply need to be left behind. Your life will not change until your environment does. Not because the world controls you, but because environment is the silent architect of your mindset. You become what you repeatedly endure. And the longer you remain where you are not valued, the more you forget that you deserve to be valued at all. The third unacceptable behavior is staying where your worth is invisible. You owe no one an explanation for walking away. Your departure is the explanation. 4. The self-inflicted wound, putting others above your standards. There is a dangerous belief people carry, that being kind means being endlessly available. That compassion means tolerating anything. That patience means accepting disrespect. That humility means abandoning boundaries. This belief ruins more lives than failure ever has. Stoicism teaches that true kindness is rooted in strength, not weakness. And strength requires standards. When you place other people's comfort above your principles, when you sacrifice your own needs to avoid disappointing others, when you allow someone's emotions to override your values, you betray yourself. This is the quietest form of self-destruction because it feels noble. You tell yourself, I don't want to upset them. I don't want to seem rude. I want to be the bigger person. But being the bigger person does not mean being the smaller self. The truth is simple. If your kindness costs you your dignity, it is not kindness, it is compliance. Standards are not walls, they are filters. They keep out what does not belong. They protect what is sacred. They signal to the world, this is how I expect to be treated. If you let someone violate your standards once, it becomes a precedent. If you let them do it twice, it becomes a pattern. If you let it continue, it becomes your life. The fourth unacceptable behavior is lowering your standards for anyone. Those who belong in your life will rise to meet your standards. Those who don't will fall away. Let them. 5. The silent sabotage, ignoring your inner voice. Every person carries a voice within them, a quiet, intuitive, honest voice. It is not loud, but it is wise. It does not panic, but it warns. It does not scream, but it insists. Most people learn to silence this voice because it demands change. It challenges comfort. It disrupts routine. It confronts self-deception. Your inner voice tells you when something is wrong. It tells you when a situation is deteriorating. It tells you when you're settling. It tells you when a person's energy is off. It tells you when you're drifting away from who you want to be. But ignoring this voice has consequences. It is the betrayal that hurts the most. When you ignore your intuition, you don't just lose your way, you lose your trust in yourself. You begin depending on others for validation, direction, and decisions. You become reactive instead of intentional. You become unsure of your choices, unsure of your path, unsure of your worth. A Stoic is calm not because he knows everything, but because he listens to himself. Your inner voice is your compass. Ignoring it is the fifth unacceptable behavior, one that leads to anxiety, confusion, and regret. Rebuild that trust. Honor that voice. It has been trying to guide you your entire life. 6. The final enemy, the weakness you keep protecting. Every person carries a weakness, a habit, a behavior, a pattern, a temptation, a self-destructive loop. But the problem is not the weakness, the problem is your relationship with it. You protect it, you justify it, you hide it, you comfort it, you let it stay because it feels familiar, and anything familiar feels safe, even if it is harmful. Your weakness might be laziness, it might be anger, it might be procrastination, it might be emotional dependency, it might be fear, it might be a lack of discipline, it might be the desire to please others. It might be escapism. It might be the inability to say no. But here's the truth. What you refuse to confront will eventually dominate you. The sixth unacceptable behavior is protecting your weakness instead of eliminating it. You cannot build a stronger life while feeding the habits that weaken you. You cannot rise while carrying what keeps you on your knees. You cannot grow while defending what destroys you. Transformation begins when you say, I am done protecting what hurts me. I am done negotiating with weakness. I am done being at war with myself. A Stoic does not seek perfection, he seeks mastery, and mastery requires brutal honesty. What weakness are you still protecting? And what will your life look like when you finally stop? This chapter is the beginning of that confrontation. The Stoic declaration: by reaching the end of this chapter, you have taken your first step. You have confronted the 6 behaviors that drain your power. Now the real question is, what will you do with this awareness? Will you continue living as you have always lived? Or will you choose the harder path, the disciplined path, the path of self-respect, self-honesty, and self-mastery? Because transformation is not built on inspiration, it is built on decisions. And right now, you stand at a crossroads. One road leads back to who you were, the other leads to who you are destined to become. Choose wisely. There is a silent enemy inside every human being. It does not shout. It does not threaten. It does not rage. It whispers. It speaks in the softest, most reasonable voice. It sounds kind. It sounds protective. It sounds like it cares about you. It says things like, you've been through a lot. Rest. You deserved a break. Do it later. You're too tired to start today. You're not ready yet. You'll change when life calms down. Next week will be better. This enemy has a name: excuses. And excuses are not harmless. They are the first cracks in the foundation of a life that could have been extraordinary. Stoics described this enemy long ago. Not in the language of modern psychology, but in the language of courage and self-mastery. They called it giving in to the passions, the emotional impulses that drag you away from your values and your duty. Today, we call it lies we tell ourselves. Because excuses are self-deception, and self-deception is the most powerful enemy you will ever face, because it grows inside you, learns from you, and speaks in your own voice. This chapter is a confrontation, not with the world, not with other people, but with the version of yourself that keeps you small, weak, passive, and stuck. If you cannot defeat excuses, nothing else in life will matter. Your discipline will die, your goals will fade, your potential will decay, and your life will become a slow-motion tragedy. This is the battle you must win. Not once, not twice, but every single day. Let us begin.
The most dangerous lie you tell yourself: excuses are not just sentences you speak, they are contracts you sign with weakness.
An excuse is an agreement with your lesser self, the part of you that prefers comfort over growth, emotion over reason, distraction over duty. And the most dangerous lie you tell yourself is not "I can't," it is "I'll do it tomorrow." Tomorrow is the graveyard where your dreams are buried. Tomorrow is the landfill of wasted potential. Tomorrow is the fantasy land your mind creates to avoid the discomfort of doing what is required today. Every time you say tomorrow, what you really mean is, I'm not willing to face the discomfort that my growth demands. Stoicism teaches that discipline is not a sudden explosion of effort. It is the art of doing what you should do when you should do it, even when you don't feel like doing it. Excuses break this art. They erode your identity. They rewrite your inner script. They turn you into someone who cannot trust their own word. And that is the greatest danger of all. Because once you stop trusting yourself, you stop building yourself, the internal negotiator. Why excuses feel true. People believe excuses because excuses feel logical. They feel natural. They feel justified. No one wakes up and says, I want to ruin my potential today. But they say, I'm exhausted. I have too much going on. My environment makes it hard. I'm not ready to commit yet. These are not excuses that feel like lies. They feel like explanations, and that is why they are deadly. Your mind is a master negotiator. It can justify anything that gives you temporary comfort. It will negotiate you out of responsibility. It will negotiate you out of discipline. It will negotiate you out of greatness. Aurelius wrote, "You must build your mind strong enough to say no to what weakens you, but you cannot say no to something you cannot see." Excuses disguise themselves as compassion, self-care, practicality, and emotional honesty. But more often than not, they are cowardice in costume. The negotiator in your mind is not your ally, it is your jailer. It keeps you trapped in the identity you are trying to escape. It convinces you that your comfort is more important than your development. It tells you that discipline is cruel. It whispers that change is too hard, and you believe it because weakness always uses the voice of reason, the math of regret, how excuses calculate your future. Most people underestimate the cost of excuses. They think excuses only affect the moment. I skipped today. It's fine. I didn't follow through this time. I'll fix it next time. But the truth is darker. Excuses compound, not like interest in a bank, but like rust. Rust does not destroy metal in one day. It destroys it through neglect, through inaction, through tiny, invisible chemical reactions that no one notices until the structure collapses. That is how excuses destroy a person. One excuse makes the next one easier. One moment of weakness becomes a habit. One postponement becomes your personality. Suddenly you look in the mirror and realize you have become someone who doesn't finish, someone who doesn't start, someone who doesn't push, someone who doesn't try, not because you chose it, but because you tolerated it. Regret is not born from one big failure. It is born from thousands of small excuses you thought didn't matter. Stoicism teaches that the present moment is the only place you have power. Excuses steal that power by dragging you into two illusions, the illusion of not yet and the illusion of someday. Both illusions destroy lives. The comfort trap, the root of all excuses. At the root of every excuse is one addiction: comfort. Humans are wired to conserve energy, avoid pain, and seek ease. This is biology. But greatness is not biological, it is intentional. And the truth is this: your desire for comfort is stronger than your desire for transformation until you decide otherwise. Discomfort is the gym where discipline is built. Comfort is the couch where potential dies. Every excuse protects your comfort. It shelters you from effort. It shields you from challenge. It isolates you from growth. Excuses do not care about your future. They care about your feelings in the moment. And nothing destroys a human being faster than choosing temporary emotions over permanent evolution. Stoicism teaches the opposite principle: choose the harder right over the easier wrong. But in order to do that, you must understand something profound. The parts of your life that are easy today are the same parts that will cause you pain tomorrow. And the parts of your life that are hard today are the same parts that will give you strength tomorrow. Comfort is short-term pleasure for long-term suffering. Discipline is short-term suffering for long-term freedom. Excuses sabotage the exchange. They sell your future for a cheap moment of relief. The lie of not feeling like it. One of the most dangerous excuses is emotional permission. I don't feel motivated. I don't feel ready. I don't feel inspired. But hear this: you are not supposed to feel ready. You are supposed to feel responsible. Motivation is a luxury. Discipline is a duty. If you only act when you feel like it, you will spend your life obeying your emotions instead of your values. Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In modern language, that means do it even when you don't feel good. Do it even when you're tired. Do it even when people don't understand. Do it even when your emotions resist. Because if you wait for the perfect emotional weather, your life will experience eternal winter. Your feelings are not the enemy, or your loyalty to them is. The cost of self-lies, identity erosion, excuses do not just stop you from doing things. They change who you are. Identity is built by repeated action. Confidence is built by repeated follow-through. Self-respect is built by repeated self-discipline. Every time you break a promise to yourself, your self-respect cracks. Your inner authority diminishes. Your faith in your own strength fades. You might not notice it, but your subconscious does. When you say, I'll wake up early tomorrow, and then you don't, your mind learns you're unreliable. When you say, I'll stick to this habit, and then you quit, your mind learns you're inconsistent. When you say, I'll change my life, and then you don't, your mind learns you're all talk and no action. This erosion of identity is invisible at first, but devastating in the long run. Excuses don't just waste time, they weaken character, and a weak character cannot build a strong life. The Stoic alternative, radical self-honesty. If excuses are self-deception, then their opposite is radical self-honesty. This does not mean blaming yourself. It does not mean shaming yourself. It means confronting reality without excuses, without denial, and without emotional distortion. Radical self-honesty says, I didn't fail because life is unfair. I failed because I didn't commit. I didn't skip today because I had no time. I skipped because I chose something else. I'm not stuck because of others. I'm stuck because of the habits I'm protecting. This level of honesty is brutal. It hurts. It exposes the truth you've been avoiding. It destroys the comforting story you've been telling yourself. But this pain is purifying. It is the beginning of clarity, discipline, and inner power. Because the moment you stop lying to yourself, your life becomes your responsibility. And responsibility is the gateway to transformation. Destroying excuses, the Stoic practice. There are 5 Stoic practices that eliminate excuses at the root. 1. The principle of immediate action. If something takes less than 2 minutes, do it now. No debate, no negotiation, no thinking. This kills excuses before they form. 2. The discipline of micro-commitments. Don't commit to the entire journey. Commit to the next step. Nothing destroys excuses faster than reducing the demand. Instead of, "I will transform my whole life," say, "I will follow through for the next 10 minutes. As Epictetus said, small disciplines repeated with consistency lead to greatness. 3. The Stoic technique of emotional override. Your emotions are loud, but they are not intelligent. So the Stoics taught this: act according to your values, not your feelings. Feelings change, values do not. 4. The ritual of evening accountability. Every night before sleep ask, what excuses did I obey today? What excuses did I resist? This keeps your awareness sharp and your discipline active. 5. The identity rebuild. Replace the identity of "I'm trying" with "I'm the type of person who follows through." Your actions will rise to match the identity you claim. The final battle, becoming uncompromising with yourself. There will come a moment that decides the direction of your entire life. You will be tired, you will be unmotivated, you will feel overwhelmed, you will feel unsure, you will want comfort, you will want to justify quitting, you will want to negotiate your dreams away again, and in that moment, the excuse will come. It will sound logical, it will sound harmless, it will sound reasonable, and you will have a choice: obey it or overcome it. That moment is everything. Greatness is not built on the days when you feel strong. It is built on the days when you feel weak but choose discipline anyway. The Stoics believed the highest form of strength is self-command. To command yourself is to own your destiny. To own your destiny is to live without regret. To live without regret is to defeat the enemy within. This chapter is your training ground. The war with excuses is the war for your future. And starting today, you will refuse to lose. There is a moment in every person's life where the world tests their boundaries. A comment, a tone, a dismissal, a subtle insult, a belittling remark disguised as humor. A moment where someone tries to place themselves above you by pushing you below them. Most people stay silent. Not because they agree, not because they are weak, but because confrontation feels uncomfortable and disrespect feels survivable. But here is the truth no one tells you. Every time you tolerate disrespect, you teach the world how to treat you. But even worse, you teach yourself how little you expect in return. Disrespect is not just a social problem. It is a psychological one, a spiritual one, a stoic one. It erodes your identity. It reshapes your personality. It changes the way you carry yourself. It molds you into someone smaller than you were meant to be. This chapter is not about ego. It is not about pride. It is not about domination. It is about self-respect, dignity, personal boundaries, and the inner strength required to demand better from your environment and yourself. The Stoics spoke endlessly about personal sovereignty, the idea that you alone govern your inner world. But sovereignty is impossible if you allow others to rule you through disrespect. You cannot be disciplined if you tolerate disrespect. You cannot be confident if you tolerate disrespect. You cannot be a leader if you tolerate disrespect. You cannot transform your life while bending your spine to the weight of others' opinions. There are moments in life where you must make a choice: stand firm or shrink. And shrinking always has a cost. Let us begin. The first sign of a broken self-image: people who tolerate disrespect are not weak, they are unaware. Unaware that silence is not neutrality, silence is acceptance. Unaware that their tolerance does not make them strong, it makes them complicit in their own belittlement. Unaware that every time they let someone cross a boundary, they redraw the boundary closer to their own throat. The first sign of a cracked self-image is this: you prioritize peace over dignity. You want harmony so badly that you swallow disrespect like medicine, pretending it will heal when it's actually poisoning you. You tell yourself it's not a big deal. They probably didn't mean it. I don't want to create drama. I don't want to seem emotional. It's just better to avoid conflict. But avoiding conflict with others creates conflict within yourself. Marcus Aurelius said, "The world's opinion is none of your concern. Your concern is your mind, your choices, your actions. But disrespect forces your mind into chaos, corrupts your choices, and cripples your actions." Stoicism is not passive. Stoicism is not silence. Stoicism is not submission. Stoicism is strength under control, and there is nothing strong about letting others step on your dignity. Disrespect begins where your boundaries end. A boundary is not a rule for others, it is a standard for yourself. Boundaries say, this is what I permit, this is what I reject, this is the level of respect required to be in my life, this is how I value myself. When you have no boundaries, people don't need to disrespect you. You disrespect yourself by default. Boundaries are not walls, boundaries are gates. They allow the right people in and keep the wrong people out. But most people never open the gate because they fear losing company. They fear losing acceptance. They fear being alone. So they let everyone in, including the ones who diminish them. Stoicism teaches that you must first govern yourself before you interact with the world. Governance begins with boundaries. When you have boundaries, people treat you differently. You treat yourself differently. Your environment reorganizes itself. Weak people avoid you because they cannot manipulate you. Strong people respect you because they recognize the same strength in you. A person with boundaries changes the atmosphere of a room. They don't need to demand respect. Their presence demands it. The difference between humility and self-betrayal. Many people confuse humility with self-betrayal. Humility says, I know my strengths and weaknesses. I do not need to boast. Self-betrayal says, I will allow others to treat me as less than who I am. Humility is noble. Self-betrayal is corrosive. Stoicism teaches humility, but never at the cost of dignity. Seneca said, a man cannot stand tall if he bows to the weight of others' opinions. Humility is internal. Respect is external. You can be humble and assertive. You can be calm and firm. You can be peaceful and powerful. Strength does not require aggression, but it does require assertion. And assertion is simply this: I expect the same respect that I give, not more, not less. The problem is that modern society praises meekness and labels confrontation as hostility, but refusing to accept disrespect is not hostility, it is responsibility. Your responsibility to yourself, why you let people cross your boundaries.
There are 4 psychological reasons. 1. Fear of conflict.
You fear what will happen if you speak. You imagine worst-case scenarios. You catastrophize the consequences. But the truth is, most people respect those who assert themselves. The only people who dislike boundaries are the ones who benefit from you not having them. 2. Fear of losing people. You fear that standing up for yourself will push others away. Good. Anyone who leaves when you set a boundary never respected you to begin with. 3. Low self-worth. You believe you don't deserve respect. You believe that asking for more is asking for too much. You believe silence is safer, but all silence does is confirm your fears. 4. The habit of being the strong one. You endure. You swallow. You absorb emotional hits like a shield. You survive what others would collapse under. But surviving is not the same as living. You think strength means tolerating everything, but strength means knowing what you will no longer tolerate. The moment disrespect changes you, the reason you cannot tolerate disrespect is not because it hurts in the moment, it's because it rewires your internal world. 1. It shrinks your confidence. Every time you accept disrespect, you tell yourself, I am not worth defending. Your confidence hears it, your subconscious hears it, your future self hears it. Confidence does not disappear suddenly, it erodes. 2. It distorts your identity. You begin to believe you are someone who is easy to dismiss, easy to manipulate, easy to overlook. Identity is built through repetition, and every repetition of silence becomes a part of your personality. 3. It teaches the wrong people that you are safe to exploit. There are people in this world who seek power through domination. They test your boundaries to know how far they can push you, and if you never push back, you become their playground. 4. It makes your future relationships dysfunctional. If you don't learn to set boundaries now, you will attract people who treat you according to your silence. You don't get what you want. You get what you tolerate. The Stoic response to disrespect. Stoicism does not say punish them, destroy them, become aggressive.
Stoicism says be firm, be clear, be calm, and walk away when necessary. Your power is not in controlling others, but in controlling your reaction. The Stoic approach is 3 steps. 1.
The internal pause before reacting. Pause. Stay centered. Analyze whether the disrespect was intentional, careless, or habitual. Stoic clarity prevents emotional overreaction. You respond with strength, not impulsiveness. 2. The direct assertion. Look the person in the eye and speak with calm authority. I don't find that acceptable. Speak to me respectfully. Don't use that tone with me. I'm not comfortable with that. Let's keep this conversation mature. Short, simple, controlled. This is the Stoic voice. Steady, grounded, firm. 3. The boundary action. If the disrespect continues, you distance, you disengage, you detach, you walk away. Because Stoicism teaches we owe everyone kindness, but we owe no one access. If someone does not treat you with respect, they should not have access to your time, your energy, or your presence. The power of walking away. One of the greatest powers in life is the ability to walk away calmly. Not emotionally, not dramatically, not proudly, quietly, decisively, unapologetically. Walking away is not weakness, it is self-protection. Weak people cling to toxic environments. Strong people remove themselves from disrespectful situations. When you walk away from disrespect, you don't just protect yourself, you elevate yourself. You demonstrate to the world, I do not beg for respect, I require it. This is not arrogance. This is self-respect, the foundation of Stoic virtue. Seneca wrote, "He who respects himself cannot be harmed, because disrespect only harms those who agree with it." The cost of raising your standards. People think raising your standards will make life harder, and they're right, it will. You will lose people. You will be labeled difficult. You will be misunderstood. You will have to confront uncomfortable situations. You will have to speak when you want to stay silent. You will have to assert yourself when it feels unnatural. But the cost of keeping low standards is far greater. You lose your identity. You lose your peace. You lose your confidence. You lose your dignity. Life gives you 2 pains, the pain of self-respect or the pain of self-betrayal. Choose wisely. Every person has a line they must draw. There is a line you must draw in your life. A line you will not allow anyone to cross. This line is sacred. This line is the birthplace of your strength. This line is the proof that you value yourself. When you draw this line, you send a message to the world, I will not be spoken to like this. I will not be treated like this. I will not allow myself to be diminished. This is not aggression, this is sovereignty, and sovereignty is the ultimate Stoic virtue, the mastery of your inner world. The world cannot rule you if you refuse to kneel. You become what you allow. Human psychology is simple. You internalize what you tolerate. You become what you allow. You attract what you accept. If you allow disrespect, you become someone who expects it. If you allow belittlement, you become someone who tolerates it. If you allow silence, you become someone who fears speaking. But when you demand respect, something extraordinary happens. Your posture changes. Your tone changes. Your confidence awakens. Your habits strengthen. Your goals intensify. Your entire identity evolves. You stop shrinking. You stop apologizing. You stop pleasing. You stop bending. You stop betraying yourself. This is transformation. This is the Stoic path. This is the beginning of your rise. The world treats you according to your self-image. The way others treat you is a mirror of the way you treat yourself. If you love yourself weakly, people will love you weakly. If you value yourself inconsistently, people will value you inconsistently. If you respect yourself deeply, people will respect you deeply. Your self-image is the silent signal you broadcast to the world, and the world responds accordingly. That is why tolerating disrespect is so dangerous. It lowers your signal. It distorts your identity. It broadcasts weakness, insecurity, and self-doubt. But when you raise your standards, your signal changes. Your identity strengthens. Your presence grows. People sense it, people feel it, people respond to it, and the ones who cannot match it fall away naturally. Good, let them fall. Not everyone deserves access to a person who respects themselves. The Stoics' final lesson, dignity is non-negotiable. Stoicism teaches many virtues: courage, wisdom, justice, self-discipline. But beneath all of these lies one foundational truth. Dignity is the root of strength. You cannot live with courage if you tolerate disrespect. You cannot live with wisdom if you silence your inner truth. You cannot live with justice if you allow others to treat you unfairly. You cannot live with discipline if you let others shape your identity. Dignity is not loud. Dignity is not aggressive. Dignity is not competitive. Dignity is silent power, the unshakable belief that you deserve to be treated with respect. If you lose everything in life but keep your dignity, you are still strong. If you gain everything in life but lose your dignity, you are broken. The Stoic path demands that you protect your dignity the way a warrior protects his shield, because without it you are defenseless. The transformation begins with one sentence. There will come a moment, maybe today, maybe tomorrow, where someone will test you. A comment, a tone, a disrespectful jab. In that moment you have two choices: shrink or rise. Say this sentence in your mind: I do not tolerate disrespect. Say it calmly, say it confidently, say it like a law written into your identity, and then act accordingly. This sentence will change your life, because when you stop tolerating disrespect, you stop living below your potential. You stop allowing others to define you. You stop betraying yourself. You stop living small. You rise. You stand. You become sovereign. You become someone who commands respect, not through fear, not through dominance, but through unshakable self-worth. And that is the foundation of a powerful life. Emotional reactivity and the cost of losing control. There are battles in life you can see, enemies with faces, threats with shapes, obstacles with edges. But there is one enemy that is invisible, one adversary that destroys a person from within, one assassin that kills ambition, wisdom, and dignity, your own uncontrolled reactions. A single moment of emotional reactivity can burn down a life built over years. A small spark of anger can ignite a wildfire of regret. A careless outburst can make a strong man look weak. A defensive response can expose insecurity you worked years to hide. And the tragedy? Most people believe they have emotions, but in reality, their emotions have them. This chapter exists for one reason: to free you from the prison of your own impulses, to train you to become the kind of person whose calm breaks storms and whose silence defeats chaos. Because the Stoics were right, a man who cannot control himself will never control anything else. The moment you react, you lose. People believe strength is shown through explosiveness, the quick response, the sharp comeback, the heated defense. But those things are not strength. Those things are symptoms of insecurity, of instability, of undisciplined inner life. A reactive mind is a weak mind. It exposes everything you desperately hoped to hide. The world is full of people who look tough but collapse the moment someone presses the right emotional button. Real strength is not loud. Real strength is not angry. Real strength is not impulsive. Real strength is the ability to stay calm when everything pressures you to break. The Stoics did not define power as dominance over others, but dominance over oneself. Epictetus said no person is free unless they master themselves, and he was right. You lose control not when someone insults you, but when you give them the authority to decide how you feel. You lose control not when someone tests you, but when you let their behavior dictate your response. The moment you react, you surrender power. The moment you pause, you reclaim it. This is the first law of inner command. 2. Your emotions are not the enemy. Your obedience to them is. The Stoics never taught suppression. They taught discipline. They didn't teach you to feel nothing. They taught you to not become a slave to what you feel. There is a difference. You are not in a war against emotion. Emotion is natural. Emotion is part of the human experience. Emotion is information. The enemy is attachment, your willingness to let emotion steer your decisions like an inexperienced driver jerking the wheel. Imagine a horse, a powerful stallion, raw energy, incredible force, but dangerous when untrained. Emotion is that horse. It can take you far if you ride it, or kill you if it tramples you. Most people live trampled. They are stepped on by their anger. They are suffocated by their fear. They are drowned by their sadness. They are manipulated by their impulses. They think emotions are truth. They think emotions justify actions. They think emotions are sacred. But Stoicism teaches the opposite. Emotions are invitations, not commands. Signals, not orders. Waves, not destiny. This is why the strongest people are not emotionless. They are emotionally skilled. They recognize emotion, but choose their response deliberately. They hear the internal storm, but do not let it steer the ship. They feel deeply, but act wisely. This is mastery. Third, your greatest weapon lies the space between trigger and response. Everything changes. The moment you realize your power lives in the pause. Most people are emotionally reactive because they live in a compressed world. An insult hits them, they explode. A difficult moment comes, they panic. A disappointment happens, they spiral. They give themselves no psychological space. They live like a tight knot. Any pull snaps them. Stoic discipline is the practice of widening the gap between emotion and action, between impulse and choice, between sensation and behavior. This inner space is the throne where your sovereignty sits. Let others react quickly. Let others rush to defend themselves. Let others prove their weakness through speed. You will be slow. You will be deliberate. You will be controlled, not because you are passive, but because you are the architect of your inner world. Imagine someone throws an insult at you. A reactive person instantly fires back, their ego too fragile to tolerate the momentary wound. But a Stoic simply pauses. In that pause, something extraordinary happens. They regain ownership of their mind. They ask, does this deserve my energy? Does this matter? Is this about me or about them? What is the wise response here? The reactive mind cannot ask these questions. It moves too fast. The disciplined mind asks all of them, and then chooses with intention. The pause is not weakness. The pause is command. Fourth, emotional reactivity destroys everything you value. If you want to understand the cost of emotional impulsiveness, look around. How many relationships were destroyed by one angry moment? How many families fractured because someone couldn't control their temper? How many careers collapsed because someone reacted before thinking? How many opportunities disappeared because ego overpowered reason? The world is full of people who hate their lives because they couldn't control one emotional moment. A second of rage, a burst of jealousy, a panic attack forced by overthinking, a desperate need to respond, a violent impulse, a defensive attack. These things cost people years of progress. One mistake can haunt you far longer than the emotion that caused it. That is the tragedy. Emotions are temporary, but reactions have permanent consequences. Anger lasts minutes, regret lasts decades, fear passes quickly. Cowardice can follow you forever. Jealousy rises like a wave. Humiliation from acting on it can last a lifetime. The person who controls their reactions avoids unnecessary disasters. The person who doesn't creates storms in places where the skies were clear. This is why emotional mastery is not luxury, it is survival. Silence, the shield of the strong, the weak yell. The strong observe, the weak rush to speak. The strong choose their moment, the weak drown in noise. The strong weaponize silence. Silence is not emptiness, silence is intelligence. It is in silence that you watch the true nature of others reveal itself. It is in silence that you see intentions unfold. It is in silence that you gather your power. The man who can sit in silence is the man who does not fear himself. He is grounded. He is unshaken. He is anchored in his own presence. The reactive person cannot stay silent. Their ego demands attention. Their ego demands to be right. Their ego demands to be heard. But Stoicism teaches something profound. Every time you react, you become predictable. Every time you pause, you become powerful. Every time you stay silent, you become mysterious. Silence protects you from self-betrayal. Silence protects you from unnecessary conflict. Silence protects you from revealing your weaknesses. Let others reveal themselves. Let others panic. Let others rant. Let others show their emotional chaos. You stay quiet. You stay steady. You stay in command. The Stoic formula for emotional dominance. If you wish to master this chapter, if you wish to become a person who does not break under pressure, if you wish to be someone who cannot be manipulated or provoked, then memorize this formula. 1. Awareness. You notice the emotional rise. You acknowledge it without shame. I feel anger. I feel fear. I feel insecurity. Awareness is the beginning of mastery. 2. Detachment. You separate yourself from the emotion. This is not me, this is a sensation passing through me. You stop identifying with the emotion and begin observing it like a third person. 3. Interpretation. You question the emotion. Why did this trigger me? What story am I telling myself? What belief is being challenged? What is the wise response? 4. Choice. You consciously choose your response, not as a reaction but as an act of strength. 5. Action. You act with reason, not impulse, with calm, not chaos, with intention, not instability. This is how you forge unshakable emotional discipline. This is how you become the kind of person who others cannot provoke. This is how you build the unbreakable mind. 7. The world belongs to those who control themselves. Think about the people you admire, the leaders, the warriors, the thinkers, the legends. Do you admire them because they yelled the loudest, because they reacted the fastest, because they were emotional, loose cannons? No. You admired them because they were composed, because they were centered, because they were disciplined under pressure. There is nothing more intimidating than a person who cannot be emotionally shaken. They walk differently. They speak differently. They think differently. They radiate a presence that others feel but cannot define. People listen to them not because they demand respect, but because their calm commands it. This chapter is your path to becoming one of them. Not by eliminating emotions, but by mastering them. Not by rejecting feelings, but by sitting above them. Not by becoming cold, but by becoming unshakably warm inside a controlled mind. The world belongs to the self-governed, those who do not bend to impulse, those who cannot be provoked, those who choose their response with wisdom. 8th, the Stoic challenge for you. You must now ask yourself, how many times has emotional reactivity cost you something important? How many times did anger make you look foolish? How many times did panic prevent you from taking action? How many times did insecurity turn you into someone you are not? How many times did you betray yourself because you were not in control? This chapter is your turning point. Your emotions are strong, but you are stronger. Your impulses are loud, but your wisdom is louder. Your reactions are quick, but your awareness is quicker. You are not here to be owned by anger, fear, jealousy, pride, or insecurity. You are here to command your inner world, to build a mind fortified by discipline, to become the kind of person whose presence itself is a lesson in composure. This is not a small step. This is a transformation. This is you rising from emotional chaos into emotional command. And once you achieve this, once you learn to pause, breathe, and choose, you will realize something profound. You were never meant to be controlled by anything outside yourself. Your power begins where your reactions end. Master yourself, and the world will never master you. Boundaries, the courage to say no. There comes a moment in every person's life when they look in the mirror and realize something terrifying. They have allowed too much disrespect, too much intrusion, too much noise, too much chaos, too much access to people who never deserved it. They gave chances to those who never earned them. They said yes to things that betrayed their own needs. They tolerated behavior that slowly corroded their dignity. Not because they were weak, but because they forgot something essential. You teach the world how to treat you, and every time you tolerate what you know is unacceptable, you silently endorse it. This chapter is about reclaiming the throne of your life, about building the inner and outer boundaries that protect your peace, your energy, your mission, and your identity. Because a person without boundaries is not kind. They are not generous. They are not compassionate. A person without boundaries is lost. The cost of being too available. The first sign of a boundaryless life is overavailability. You give your time to everyone. You answer every message immediately. You accept every invitation. You tolerate every intrusion. You make yourself reachable to people who have not earned a place in your world. The Stoics warned about this long ago. A man who spreads himself too thin becomes owned by the world. When you're always available, you become easy to interrupt, easy to manipulate, easy to drain, easy to devalue. People respect what is scarce, not what is always in their face. The more accessible you are, the less people appreciate your presence. The more you give without limits, the more people take without guilt. This is the painful truth. People value you when you value yourself. When you protect your time becomes valuable. When you protect your energy becomes respected. When you protect your presence becomes powerful. Boundaries raise your worth, not because you become arrogant, but because you become intentional. See you. Why people without boundaries suffer. A life without boundaries is a life of quiet suffering. You say yes when you want to say no. You agree to things that drain you. You stay silent when you're disrespected. You pretend you're fine when you're breaking inside. You give more than you can afford, emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And the terrible irony, people don't appreciate you for it. They expect more. They take more. They push further. They grow bolder in their disrespect. Why? Because humans are wired to test limits. When they find none, they assume the person has none. And once someone realizes you have no self-respect, they stop offering you theirs. Stoicism teaches the person who respects themselves sets limits. The person who doesn't will be consumed. A boundaryless life is not generosity, it is self-abandonment. And nothing destroys the soul faster than betraying yourself in the name of keeping peace. The Stoic truth about no, it is a complete sentence. You must understand this. No is sacred. No is a shield. No is freedom. No is self-respect. The problem is that most people are terrified of saying it. They fear disappointing others. They fear being judged. They fear losing relationships. They fear conflict. They fear being seen as selfish. But Stoicism teaches something revolutionary. You cannot live with virtue if you're afraid of discomfort. To say no is to declare that your life belongs to you.
Your time is yours, your energy is yours, your mind is yours, your identity is yours, your path is yours.
If someone gets angry at your boundaries, it reveals something important. They were not interested in your well-being. They were interested in the benefits you provided. They valued your compliance more than your humanity. A person who respects you will respect your limits. A person who loves you will honor your no. A person who values you will not demand access to you at the cost of your peace. Boundaries do not scare away the right people. They only repel the wrong ones. IV. People who lack boundaries attract disrespect without boundaries. You become a magnet for manipulators, takers, narcissists, users, emotional parasites, chaotic personalities, draining relationships. People sense softness. They sense indecision. They sense when someone is afraid to stand up for themselves, and like wolves they circle. Not all predators have sharp teeth. Some have sweet smiles. Some compliment you. Some pretend to care. Some act supportive until you say no and you see their true nature. Boundaries are the filters that keep toxic people out of your life. They clarify who belongs in your circle, who deserves your time, who has earned access, who is aligned with your values. You cannot control who enters the world, but you can control who enters your world. Boundaries are the gatekeepers. Without boundaries, you betray your own values. Every time you allow something against your values, you fracture your identity. Say you value honesty, but you stay silent when someone lies. Your silence becomes self-betrayal. Say you value respect, but you tolerate disrespect from someone close to you. Your tolerance becomes self-betrayal. Say you value peace, but you let people pull you into their chaos. Your participation becomes self-betrayal. Your values are not inherited, they are enforced. Without boundaries, values become mere decoration, words you claim but do not live. Stoicism does not care about what you say, it cares about what you practice, and boundaries are how you practice self-respect. A boundary is simply this: this is who I am, this is what I allow, this is what I don't allow. A person who cannot define these things cannot define themselves. The art of disconnecting without guilt. One of the hardest lessons in boundary setting is learning to walk away, not dramatically, not emotionally, not angrily, but quietly, calmly, with dignity. Stoics call this the quiet departure, the moment you withdraw your energy from anything that violates your values. You do not argue, you do not convince, you do not beg someone to treat you right, you do not plead for what you deserve, you simply leave, you remove access, you close the door, you protect your space. This is not coldness, this is maturity. You stop trying to change people and start choosing who you allow into your life. Some people have to lose access to you so they can learn the value of what they lost. Some people only understand respect when they no longer have the freedom to disrespect you. Leaving is not weakness. Leaving is clarity. 7. Building the 3 tiers of Stoic boundaries. To live with unbreakable self-respect, you must build boundaries on 3 levels. 1. Physical boundaries. These protect your space, your time, your routines. Who you allow into your home, how much time you give people, your personal schedule, your presence and availability, your rest and solitude. Physical boundaries create structure. Without them, your life becomes chaotic. 2. Emotional boundaries. These protect your mental and emotional well-being. Not taking responsibility for others' problems. Not allowing manipulation, not absorbing negativity, not explaining your feelings to those who weaponize them, not letting others dictate your mood. Emotional boundaries create resilience. 3. Moral boundaries. These protect your identity and values, the standards you hold, the behaviors you refuse, the principles you will not bend, the things you stand for, the lines no one can cross. Moral boundaries create inner strength. Without these 3 tiers, you become easy to shape, easy to break, easy to use, easy to disrespect. With them, you become grounded, clear, rooted, unshakable. V8. The Stoic revelation. Boundaries are a form of love. Stoics believe that true love, love for self and others, cannot exist without limits. Why? Because love without boundaries becomes sacrifice without purpose, giving without reciprocity, empathy without protection, care without self-respect, attachment without dignity. A parent sets boundaries out of love. A leader sets boundaries out of responsibility. A friend sets boundaries to preserve harmony. A partner sets boundaries to protect the relationship. A student sets boundaries to guard their focus. A warrior sets boundaries to maintain discipline. Boundaries are a declaration of love, not only for yourself, but for the quality of your life. If you do not guard your heart becomes a battlefield. If you do not guard your time becomes stolen. If you do not guard your energy becomes exhausted. If you do not guard your mind becomes polluted. What you do not protect, the world will consume. Ninth, the unapologetic life, living with powerful standards. The Stoic warrior is not afraid of being misunderstood. They are not afraid of being disliked. They are not afraid of being called selfish. They are not afraid of walking alone. Why? Because they understand something most people never learn. You are not here to please the world. You are here to build a life you are proud of. People will judge you whether you have boundaries or not. So choose the version of you that commands respect. You do not owe access to anyone. You do not owe explanations for your standards. You do not owe your energy to those who drain it. You do not owe your presence to those who disrespect it. Standards are your armor. Boundaries are your shield. Self-respect is your sword. Carry them with you and watch your life transform. 10th, this I swear you rise. This chapter is your turning point. From this moment forward, you will no longer tolerate disrespect. You will no longer make yourself small. You will no longer betray your own needs. You will no longer sacrifice yourself to keep people comfortable. You will no longer give access to those who have not earned it. You are reclaiming your identity. You are reclaiming your time. You are reclaiming your energy. You are reclaiming your peace. You are reclaiming your worth. Boundaries are not walls that keep people out. They are walls that keep you intact. They are the sacred lines that declare, this is who I am. This is what I allow. This is what I refuse. This is my life, and I protect it fiercely. You are no longer the person who bends to everything. You are no longer the person who fears saying no. You are no longer the person who tolerates the intolerable. You are becoming the person the Stoics envisioned: disciplined, self-respecting, unshakable, sovereign. And remember this truth: when you build boundaries, you do not lose people who matter. You lose people who take advantage. Let them go. You are rising now.